At the top of an organization sits the board of directors. These are independent directors with two broad responsibilities. Most boards tend to be dominated by finance, accounting, and other compliance-oriented perspectives. The idea behind bringing these independent directors is that, since they have no material connection with the firm, they can be more objective in their decision-making.
Because of the many financial scandals that have happened all over the world, so for example Satyam scandal in India or Enron scandal in the US, so there's a lot of push to have more and more independent directors on the board. However, one issue that the firms have been facing is that these directors may not be equipped, or they do not have the expertise to actually understand the decisions taken by the firm. If I am bringing somebody from a chemical industry and putting that person on the board of a, let's say, highly tech company, right? So maybe at the heart of the person, he or she wants to be truly independent and help the firm to make the right decisions, but I may not have the right expertise to do so. So that's the problem we were trying to solve in this paper by asking the question, should I bring a customer on the board who will obviously understand the firm, what the firm is doing, at the same time may be independent as well. In any typical marketing class, we talk about customer orientation, customer centricity and so on. I wanted to understand, are boards actually customer oriented and what kind of issues they discuss at the board level when it comes to customers or more broadly in marketing strategy. And surprisingly, I found very little literature looking at this phenomenon.
Now, would the CEO of Unilever sitting on the board of directors of Dow Chemicals be beneficial for the chemical firm? The central hypothesis of this research is that bringing in a customer on the board enhances firm performance. Having a customer in the boardroom, however, has its pros and cons.
On the one side, when you have a customer on the board, you have better customer orientation at the board level, and you also have more and better knowledge about what is happening in the customer industry. But on the flip side, having a customer on the board can tilt some of their decisions in the favor of the customer and not necessarily in the best interest of the focal firm. And second, other customers actually might perceive this decision in a more negative light. So the net effect is not very clear, and this is what we wanted to test in our empirical research. So there are primarily two main research questions we are interested in. The first one is it valuable to bring a customer onto the board? And the second one, if it is valuable to bring a customer on the board, when is it most valuable to have a customer on the board?
To test their hypothesis, the team gathered data from more than 320 B2B firms over a period of 9 years. The biggest challenge was to figure out which one of these firms actually had a customer in the boardroom.
So we had to read their annual reports where we can find information on board of directors to figure out if any of the directors actually come from a customer industry. And we also need an outcome variable to understand what effect having a customer on the board has on firm performance, and we have used multiple outcome variables. So for example, return on assets, price to earnings ratio, Tobin's Q, etc. And we do find that having a customer on the board positively influences firm performance.
To understand this positive influence, the team had to look at board decisions. But board decisions are generally a black box. No company would reveal them, as these could be a source of competitive advantage.
So we used kind of a proxy to understand. So if you are having a customer on the board, it should make you more customer oriented, and one of those things may get reflected in your R&D spending. So we do find that if you have a customer on the board, it positively influences your research and development expenses, which help you to create better products and services for your customers, and which eventually is enhancing the firm performance positively.
In addition to firm performance, the team also examined circumstances under which a customer on the board is more effective or less effective.
We find that if the firm is facing high uncertainty in their demand, having a customer on the board is more effective. That means the customer is bringing valuable information at the boardroom, which is helping the firm to formulate better strategies. While having a customer on the board has a positive effect on average, it is not to say that it is going to benefit all the firms equally. So for example, we notice that if the firm is less diversified, the effect of having a customer on the board is much more positive. If the firm is highly diversified, that means if I am operating in 20 different industries, bringing in a customer from one of these industries may not be that effective.
The research also revealed that it was more impactful to bring in an executive from the customer firm than simply bringing in another independent director.
Would the customer and the CMO act as substitutes to one another, or do they complement each other? Our results indicate that they are neither substitutes nor complements, and both of them have a positive effect and they have an independent effect on the firm performance. They are bringing in information which is not overlapping with one another, and they are also operating at two different levels: customer at the board level and the CMO at the top management level, who is focusing more on the execution, and the customer more focusing at the strategy level.
As the highest decision-making body of an organization, the board of directors can often be composed of informed and uninformed individuals, spending most of their time looking out for financial irregularities and compliance issues, and in the process, deprioritizing customer and strategy issues.
It's very surprising because they are the true decision making body in the firm, if you think about, and they can alter the company's strategy or direction, whether should I go for an acquisition or should I enter a new segment. So all these decisions are taken at the board level, but the amount of time they seem to be spending on customer issues is very limited.
And to solve this, organizations should look for a good balance between somebody who is independent but also has the expertise to evaluate and take objective decisions.
Our main recommendation based on the results of this study is that having a customer on the board is going to be immensely valuable for the firms. For any reason, if you are not able to bring in a customer on the board, please consider forming a committee of customers who can come and represent the customer interests and interact with the board, so that you still have some kind of customer orientation and knowledge at the board level.